Is the rated R superstar Edge about to join AEW? That's the question on everyone's mind as we head into a massive week for the company as they introduce their newest pay-per-view, AEW Wrestle Dream. Will he be there? We have a bit of an update on that situation as we heard from Chris Jericho this week. I'm about to tell you exactly what he said. Before I do, though, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Okay, so Edge, of course, there's been speculation that his WWE contract has expired. Edge just about a month ago released a video on social media where he said, confirmed actually, that yeah, his contract with WWE was up. He does have an offer from them that he has yet to sign as of that recording, which again, about a month ago. And we haven't heard much since then. The rumors and reports were that Edge's contract runs through the end of September, which in theory, if those are true, in theory would free him up to join AEW on October 1st, which just so happens to be the night of AEW's newest pay-per-view, Wrestle Dream, in Seattle, which I will be at, by the way, so if you see me, come say hi. Anyway, back to the news. Chris Jericho was asked in an interview this week about whether or not he'd like to see Edge in AEW, and the inaugural AEW World Champion was on the Superstar Crossover show, and he said the following. Who's to say for sure? But if you look at Chris Jericho, for example, where I was in WWE, there wasn't that much more I could do there. You're there for many years, and you've wrestled everybody, and it's great. But it's always good to shock people and show up with a new kind of mission. For Edge to come to AEW, it'd be a whole fresh new coat of paint. A whole new roster of matches that he could have, obviously a new name, which would then, knowing him, knowing me, what I would do is a whole new look and a whole new mindset. So that's Chris Jericho's kind of pitch for Edge in AEW. And honestly, he makes a few very compelling points there. I mean, it's obvious. We all like to point to the fact that Christian Cage, who is Edge's best friend, is in AEW. I pointed many times to the fact that, you want to have a match like Edge and Christian versus the Hardys for the final time. Going to AEW seems to be the only way that's going to happen. Same with the Dudleys and that situation. But beyond that, I mean, the question of what is there else to do for Edge? He's main evented WrestleMania. He's won the Royal Rumble multiple times. He's done it all in WWE. And that's all great, but the one thing he hasn't done really is made a name for himself outside of WWE. He never was in WCW. He never left for TNA. He was never one of those guys. And with AEW being there, having guys like Kenny Omega, having guys like Bryan Danielson, who he never got to do a proper match with, having guys like, Samoa Joe and so on, there's a whole new, and even the younger guys, look at Wheeler Yuta. Look at, John Moxley, who's not a younger guy, but another guy who Edge has not faced off in the ring with. Because remember, when Moxley, Danielson, and all these guys were at their height in WWE, Edge wasn't cleared to wrestle. So there's not only the AEW guys, the Elite, Hangman Page, all those guys. There's former WWE guys who he hasn't been able to wrestle that we could see him go with. And if you're telling me, if you're AEW, you're Tony Khan, obviously, they're about to sign, it seems like they're about to sign this massive deal to stay with Warner Brothers Discovery. There might be a max deal, according to Andrew Zarian of Mat Men Pro Wrestling, perhaps. So you're about to get this big influx of money one way or another. And if you're Tony Khan, one way that you can, make your show better, invest in your show, invest in this relationship that you have with Warner Brothers Discovery, is to bring in a big name. And not only would that continue to cement you as, a counter brand, as a competitor to WWE in wrestling, but it would make a big splash. And it wouldn't hurt to have ratings take a boost. It wouldn't hurt to have merch take a boost. It wouldn't hurt to have attendance, which again, attendance for live events for AEW has been waning. That is truth. The show itself on TV is doing very well. It's still one of the highest rated shows, whether it's Dynamite or Collision. I believe Collision's usually a top 5 show. Dynamite's always up there, top 3. Most of the weeks, it's top 2. So, but like, attendance, like, you're getting 3,000 people, you're getting 4,000 people per event. I think that having Edge and being able to say, hey, Edge is coming to Ontario, Edge is coming to Vancouver, Edge is coming to Miami, Edge is coming to a town near you. He may not be called Edge. Of course, WWE owns that name, but you see the picture, you see the guy, you're like, oh, okay, well, I obviously know who that is. I want to go see him. And it would give Edge kind of a chance to be one of the main draws, even the main draw for a while in AEW, which, something he, I'm not saying Edge wasn't a major draw in WWE. Of course he was, but he was never the main draw, really. He was never really the main draw for that company. If you look at all the feuds he's been in, feuds with John Cena, some of the best things he's ever done in his career, Cena was the main draw. You look at when he won the Royal Rumble the second time, and he faced off against Roman Reigns and Bryan Danielson at WrestleMania. Roman was the main draw. This gives Edge a chance, if he chooses to join AEW, to not only go out there, have these fantastic matches, but on top of that, it gives him the opportunity to be the guy, at least for a little while, whether it's 6 months, whether it's a year, who knows. But he would kind of be the guy in a similar way that CM Punk was kind of pushed as the main guy on AEW. He was like, I'm not saying that, even when he wasn't world champion, right? He was still like the main draw. And I think you can put Edge in a very similar position. When you have a roster as loaded with young guys that AEW does, and you have it front loaded with veterans like Bryan Danielson, Moxley, Edge, Serena Deeb whenever she comes back, like perhaps a Mercedes Moné, you are setting yourself up for a historic run with the roster you have, with the events you can put on, with the amount of people you can draw. Like, you can draw with that. And of course, this is all conjecture. We don't know what's going to happen with Edge. I mean, Christian Cage is in a 2 out of 3 falls match at WrestleDream, right? With Darby Allin. It would make sense to have him there, in theory. Maybe he shows up main event, maybe he doesn't, who knows? But there are a lot of ways you could introduce him. At the end of the day, this is going to be an Adam Copeland decision, for sure. This is going to be Edge deciding what's best for himself, his family, and his future. So, we'll see what happens. I, for one, would love to see it. I would love to see the just who he could wrestle in AEW. It would just be really awesome, in my opinion. I want to hear from you guys, though. What do you guys think Edge will do? Will he stay with WWE? Will he go to AEW? Will he just retire and call it a career? Either way, shout out to Adam Copeland, Edge, one of the greatest of all time. Let me know in the comment section. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. And until next time, keep it real.